admiration. Come experience the Roper Kia Advantage. And remember, keep it frosty.
Pittsburgh community schools are sounding the alarm on a social media trend that could have long-lasting implications for students. I'm Zach Dodge with the story.
Plus, authorities capture a Southwest Missouri murder suspect. And as hospitals around the country struggle to keep up with the number of COVID patients, the FDA prepares to review data on COVID booster shots.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A new TikTok challenge has a local school sounding the alarm on something that could have long-lasting implications for students. This is KOAM News at 10. KOAM's Zach Dodge has details on the trend that could land kids in legal trouble.
I'm sure as kids we all did things that were pretty questionable, even if it was to see if we could get away with it. But now students are getting in on a TikTok trend that could follow them later in life.
Let's turn it into something really destructive now.
The Devious Lick Challenge on TikTok has come to area schools. It's where students vandalize or steal school property and post videos on TikTok for the views.
We have seen some vandalism and small theft in the building.
At Pittsburgh Community Schools, they started seeing that last week across the district. And while they can't say for sure it's because of the challenge, the timing is suspicious and what's going missing is pretty small.
It's more for the act of stealing it for the social media post than trying to get a large item.
And while the things that are being stolen here in Pittsburgh are pretty small, the sheriff says that it is still stealing. So students could be facing 2 separate sets of consequences.
Honestly, it's criminal damage of property. You're going to get consequences from the school, and then potentially you could have criminal charges on a silly challenge.
The district says some students have already returned what they stole, and a letter has been sent to parents encouraging them to talk to their students about vandalism, theft, and peer pressure to try and curb the issue before it gets worse.
And help them understand that social media fads can have real life consequences, but it's not about a punishment, it's about teaching them a lifelong lesson.
TikTok has also taken down videos with the Devious Lick hashtag. In Pittsburgh, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Schools in other parts of the country have reported stolen sinks, fire extinguishers, computers, and more. Checking in with Jacob Leonard now for a first look at the weather.
The humidity wasn't too bad today and it was pretty clear, but once again it was warm and it's actually still warm right now. 7th and rangeline here, pretty clear. Today we hit highs of 91 degrees in Joplin. As you can see, 82 degrees is the average for September 16th, so much warmer than what we normally see at this time of the year. And like I said, still pretty warm, pretty clear. Temperatures across the area, 79 in Commerce, 78 in Webb City, 75 in Lamar, 76 right now in Fort Scott. Now here's what you got to look forward to in the morning when you get up and head to school. We'll still be in the mid-60s, but it'll warm up pretty quickly, 79 by 10, 85 by noon. Once again, we will top out near 90 degrees. We will have a chance to cool off early next week. We're going to talk about that and have a full look at the forecast here in just a few minutes. Dow.
Catch you then. The Webb City Police Department is investigating the shootings of 2 people. It happened early this afternoon. Webb City Police say they were called to the 500 block of North Colonial for a disturbance. Officers found a man and a woman both suffering from gunshot wounds. The victims were taken to a local hospital with serious injuries. Police believe this was an isolated incident and that there is no threat to the public. A Marionville, Missouri murder suspect is in police custody. The Aurora Marionville Police Department says today they arrested Jamie Lee Godfrey. He's accused in the murder of 50-year-old Jess Davis. Davis was found dead in his Marionville home yesterday. Authorities are not releasing more information about Godfrey's suspected involvement. They thanked community members and law enforcement for, quote, jumping into action to help with this case. One of the suspects in the hit-and-run death of a Pea Ridge, Arkansas police officer has a trial date after pleading not guilty to numerous charges connected to the crime. Shanna Cash is set to appear back in court in December. Now, Cash is one of 2 suspects in the death of Pea Ridge officer Kevin Apple. Police say Cash and her co-defendant hit and killed Apple with their car. Cash is charged with capital murder, escape, fleeing, 2 counts of aggravated assault, leaving the scene of a personal injury accident, criminal mischief, obstructing governmental operations, and reckless driving. Her co-defendant Elijah Andazola has also pled not guilty. The Webb City Fire Department is working to determine the cause of the fire that damaged the Missouri Metal Recycling Building. Happened before 11:30 this morning. Webb City Fire Chief tells us he believes the fire was started by a worker who was welding, but the official cause of the fire has not been determined. Crews from Webb City, Oronogo, Joplin, and Duquesne responded to help put out that fire. The Joplin Health Department reports we've lost 3 more people to COVID-19. The patients were 2 men who were ages 72 and 22, and 1 woman who was 59. The latest deaths bring the city's total of deaths to 168. It's mid-September, but the coronavirus's summer surge shows no sign of ending. With hospitalizations and deaths still climbing, the Food and Drug Administration is weighing the need for COVID-19 booster doses. Anthony Pura reports.
An FDA advisory committee will meet Friday to discuss whether to recommend booster shots of Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine. The White House is hoping the agency will recommend the extra dose. A recent Israeli study found that a 3rd shot significantly reduces the risk of severe illness, especially in people age 60 and up. But in an article published in the medical journal The Lancet, a group of scientists said that the available evidence does not support giving booster shots to the general public. The article's authors included 2 outgoing FDA officials.
It's really confusing.
Some experts say the booster debate has created confusion.
I think the messaging from the White House has served to terrify the vaccinated and make the unvaccinated think that the vaccines don't work.
In the meantime, the Delta variant continues to infect more Americans. Healthcare is now being rationed in Idaho, forcing some of the sick to leave the state.
We're seeing our community across the border in Idaho now going into crisis standards of care, which is really every physician's worst nightmare.
In the last week, more than 1 million new COVID-19 cases were reported in the U.S., along with more than 13,000 deaths. Anthony Pura, CBS News.
Nearly 2 million Americans have already received a 3rd vaccine dose. The extra shot is approved for people with compromised immune systems. Still ahead, a prominent South Carolina attorney surrenders after police say he arranged to have himself killed in an insurance fraud scheme. And a UN report on carbon emissions of the world's major economies.
Huge savings this weekend at
A prominent lawyer in South Carolina made his first appearance in court today, accused of a shocking scheme to get life insurance money for his son. Elise Preston has details.
Attorney Alec Murdaugh was on the other side of the law in court Thursday, facing accusations of insurance fraud.
You also have the right to a trial by jury.
Earlier this month, the 53-year-old said he was shot in the head while changing a tire on this road in Hampton County, South Carolina. Then, police arrested 61-year-old Curtis Smith, accusing him of being part of a plot to get an estimated $10 million in insurance money for Murdaugh's son. Police say Murdaugh hired Smith to kill him.
The only violence he's ever been involved in is this, which was to have himself executed. So he's not a danger to the community. The only person he's a danger to is himself.
But there was other violence in Murdaugh's life that his lawyer says destroyed him when he found his wife Maggie and son Paul shot to death on the family's property in June.
I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay. Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
The double murder has not been solved. Murdaugh is also under investigation for allegedly misappropriating his former law firm's funds. His lawyer says his problems were a result of a 20-year-long opioid addiction.
His wife and son were brutally murdered, and that has had an extraordinary effect on him.
Murdaugh will return to an out-of-state rehab facility. The judge set his bond at $20,000. Elise Preston, CBS News.
Murdaugh faces charges of filing a false police report, conspiracy, and making a false statement. Investigators are also looking at the 2018 death of Murdaugh's housekeeper. COVID lockdowns helped to cut fossil fuel emissions around the globe, but a year later, scientists say pollution is back to pre-pandemic levels. A UN report card finds none of the world's major economies is making the grade when it comes to cutting greenhouse gas emissions, even though nearly 200 nations pledged to make big changes under the Paris Climate Accords in 2015. Scientists warn if more solutions don't come quickly, we can expect more extreme weather. The Securities and Exchange Commission says it's paid out more than $1 billion since its whistleblowing program began in 2012. More than half of that was this year alone. This week, one person received $110 million for pointing out wrongdoing. That's the second largest payout ever. The SEC says that whistleblower provided significant analysis that advanced investigations. Jacob Leonard's up next with the complete forecast, and later some Thursday night football action as Colgan faces off with Frontenac.
Well, we warmed right up again today with most of us topping out near 90 degrees, but overall, humidity not too bad, clear skies, and it turned out to be a pretty nice day for most of us across the area. Taking a look here at the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort time lapse, you can see outside of a few random clouds, most of the day pretty clear and the skies stay pretty blue. Current conditions right now in Joplin, we've made our way down through the 80s. We're sitting at 78 degrees, the wind nearly 10 miles an hour at a southeast, humidity 60% right now, humidity not really bad for most of the day. Now today, it's pretty warm for September 16th, also a little warmer than what we saw yesterday. Most of us here, this is 24-hour temperature change, most of us 5 to 10 degrees warmer than what we saw at this time yesterday. Right now, across the area, we're still pretty warm. 76 in Carthage, 75 in Lamar, 76 in Fort Scott, 78 in southeast Kansas over in Fredonia. Skywatch Storm Tracker here. As has been the case most of the day, the heart of our area pretty clear. The last 12 hours, you can see not a lot going on as far as precipitation is concerned. Future track for you when you get up, head out the door, go to school. Most of us mid to upper 60s, 66 in Joplin. So not what I would call a cool morning on a trip to school or to work. As we work through the rest of the morning hours into the afternoon, you can see these storms starting to form north of southeast Kansas. Now, I know what you're thinking, Leonard, is this coming here for high school football? I was worried about it too when I saw it, don't worry. But you know, these storms will work into the area around 6 o'clock, and I saw that and I was like, oh no, not again. But the good news is most of that stuff will break up as we move through game time tomorrow night for most of the area. That will break up. Now, it's still possible that we could see a pop-up shower late Friday night, maybe into Saturday morning as well, but nothing's going to be too crazy, and for the most part, football tomorrow night will be dry, so not a lot to worry about. Working through Sunday morning now, into Saturday afternoon and evening, it's once again going to top out near 90 in Joplin and for most of the areas, so it'll be a warm weekend. Here's what we got for you tomorrow. When you get up, 68 in the morning, no time to warm up. It's going to warm up pretty quickly. 85 by noon. We will top out near 90. The winds will switch around, but for the most part, it'll be a nice day, just warm like it has been for the last few days, and it's going to stay that way through the rest of the weekend. 90s through the weekend, 92 on Monday. Now, the good news is we do have a chance to cool off next Tuesday. We have a chance for rain showers on Tuesday. That'll cool us off. Then the first day of fall on Wednesday, we're going to have highs in the 70s. It's something I've been waiting to say and been waiting to see for a while because we've been playing football for a month now, and I'm ready to see football weather.
We all are. High in the 70s for one day, and then we're talking about 79 on that day. But
you got to have 70s for one day before you can have 70s on two.
Good point. Well said. Thanks. The Pitt State volleyball team's on a 5-game winning streak heading into their MIAA league opener. And St. Mary's Colgan hosts Frontenac, aiming for their first win of the season. Those highlights and more next.
The Frontenac Raiders and Colgan Panthers square off tonight in a big early season CNC matchup. The Panthers welcome in the Raiders into Pittsburgh, aiming for their first win of the season. Colgan is 0-2 through the first 2 weeks, while Frontenac is 1-1 on the year. Raiders lead 12-0 after the first quarter. Then Aiden Fleming's pass is intercepted by Justice Compton. Compton takes it all the way to the 1-yard line, and Colin McCartney gets the final yard, his second rushing touchdown of the game. Panthers respond here. Fleming connects with Tucker Harrell in the corner for Colgan's first points of the game. The ensuing kickoff is returned for a touchdown, and the Raiders not slowing down. McCartney to Compton. He gets to the outside, and look at this. Plows through this guy, stays on his feet. Compton gets into the end zone to put Frontenac up 32-6 at half. The Raiders go on to get the win 46-12. The Pittsburgh State Gorillas are on the road in Week 3 this weekend, facing the Northeastern State Riverhawks. The Gorillas are 1-1 through 2 games after dropping their home opener last Saturday to Nebraska Kearney. In that game, Pittsburgh State jumped out to a 17-7 halftime lead. However, Kearney outscored them 21-0 in the second half, going on to win 28-17. It was a disappointing ending for the Gorillas, but the team says they have put it behind them and are excited for another opportunity this Saturday.
We can't let that game affect us into the rest of the year. I think the best thing about it is that we have many opportunities in front of us. And this week, Saturday being one of them. We had a great week of practice, I feel like, and just taking one day at a time right now. That's the most important thing for all of us, I think.
The Pittsburgh State volleyball team is off to a hot start this season. The Gorillas are 6-2 in their first 8 matches and have won 5 in a row. All 8 of those have been non-conference games for PSU. Tomorrow, the really important ones begin, with Pitt State facing Central Oklahoma in their MIAA League opener. The Gorillas are excited to begin conference play and motivated to prove themselves after being picked 8th in the league's preseason poll.
I think we're really ready to show teams what we've been working on and how much we've improved from sort of the off year that was last year. And so we're just really excited to show everybody in the conference what we can do. We had some tough competition this past weekend, and we really had a battle Friday night. And I think in past years that's a game that we might not have come out on top. And so seeing that we could fight like that as a team and play that well and come back from sets that we weren't playing well and then finish really strong and win it in a 5-set match that early in the season is really nice to see and gave all of us a lot of confidence that we can do a lot this season.
The Kansas City Royals finish up a 3-game series this afternoon with the Oakland A's. The Royals are aiming to take the series after the 2 teams split the first 2 games. Kansas City has won 4 of 6 coming into the day. Salvador Perez in the first inning goes deep to left center, number 45 on the season for Perez. That ties him with Johnny Bench for most homers in a single season for a catcher. Oakland comes alive in the third, 2-run score on the single here. And then in the 9th, Josh Harrison rips a double into the gap to add to that lead. The A's go on to beat Kansas City today 7-2. And that's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Beats our deal.
We take time now to honor a local veteran. Sergeant Major Neil Hartwig served in the U.S. Army from 1948 to 1975, including service in Korea. His hometown, Humboldt, Kansas. And we are proud to salute Sergeant Major Neil Hartwig, a 4-state hero. The lights are shining a little brighter in New York City this week. Some of Broadway's blockbuster hits lifted their curtains for the first time since COVID-19 forced their shutdown in March of last year. But there's still an uncertain path ahead for productions and performers. Karen Kafo reports.
Welcome back to the theater.
A big night requires a big welcome, and Hamilton fans got one from creator Lin-Manuel Miranda on Tuesday.
I don't ever want to take live theater for granted ever again. Do you?
Major shows like Hamilton, Wicked, and The Lion King raised curtains after an 18-month intermission, and New York City declared Broadway is back.
When Broadway is up and running, it says so much about New York City.
And Mayor Bill de Blasio said so are a lot of jobs and a major tourism driver. Shows going on with vaccine requirements on stage, behind the scenes, and in the seats, and other COVID-19 precautions.
Hopefully the theater experience will be terrific for people. They are expected to be masked.
For the stage community like Jen Malenke, Leanne Gatto, and Bly Voth, it's a new world.
We recognize and honor the fact that the world is different. Our city is different. Being a performer and an artist is different.
Prior to the pandemic, their venture Broadway Babysitters was already matching performers with childcare gigs that brought offstage income and allowed them to teach song, dance, and music to kids.
To give them jobs that they could come back to, that we celebrate them getting gigs and then coming back whenever they are done with that gig, and to have fun and be able to make a living while they're auditioning and trying to make a career as an artist.
As COVID-19 set in and curtains closed, Broadway babysitters moved quickly to help keep more struggling performers on their feet.
We did have families no longer need in-person care, but we saw the need for virtual care, for events, for a distraction during a time when no one knew what was going on.
Many performing arts organizations stayed afloat with virtual offerings. Now, as patrons come back into theaters, Matthew Wexler, editor-at-large of the Broadway blog, says there's opportunity to reimagine Broadway's reach.
I think another critical piece of this, and we'll see how this unfolds, particularly when we're talking about commercial theater, is who gets in the door to see these shows. How do we make Broadway accessible to more diverse audiences?
And for Broadway babysitters, they don't mind that team members may not be available every day.
We're seeing them get those auditions. We're seeing them get those callbacks.
As stages reset and the lights come back up.
New York, New York.
I'm Karen Kefa reporting.
It's got to be good for the New York economy, certainly, and for theater fans as well. We were discussing who has and hasn't seen Hamilton. No, yes.
Yeah, I love it. So does my wife, big time.
I like the soundtrack, and I feel like I've seen it because I've heard the songs.
It's a good soundtrack.
Yeah. The weather.
It's going to be warm for the rest of the weekend. We do have a chance to cool down in the middle of next week. First day of fall on Wednesday. You know how I know that because we have that cool graphic.
Yeah, but we don't know what that graphic
falling
is.
On some cardboard boxes or something. I don't know what it is, but it means fall's coming. So it will be cooler. Highs in the upper 70s on Wednesday. It's nice to see those 70s return.
Yeah, Danny and I were looking at that, and it's leaves falling on something, but
scratching my head with that one.
I don't know. That's what it means, though. Yeah.
Okay. Final sports note.
Well, we got a little taste of football today before the big day tomorrow. Frontenac beats Colgan. They moved to 2-1 on the season.
Very good. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you tonight with a look at some of the fun from today's Third Thursday, sponsored by Missouri Southern. See you tomorrow. Don't forget our morning show, and let's make it a great one.
Salon service is provided.